Joining us now, Joe Biden's top White House economic advisor, Brian Deese. Brian, welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Thanks, Chris. Happy to be here.
So, Congress has already passed, over the last year, approved more than $4 trillion in COVID relief. You are now asking, the president-elect is now asking, for another $1.9 trillion in COVID relief. Do you really need all that money?
Well, we start from where the economy is today. And the truth is we're at a very precarious moment. We lost jobs last month for the first time since the spring. Last week, nearly 1 million Americans filed for unemployment insurance, which is higher than any week during the Great Recession. And last week, 30 million Americans reported that they didn't have enough food to eat. So we've got an acute economic crisis and human crisis, and we need decisive action. And so that's really what the president-elect's plan is about. It's about targeting the core issues that we know we need to tackle. We need to get shots in people's arms to get the pandemic under control. We need to get schools open so that parents can get back to work. And we need to get relief out to those millions of families, millions of businesses who, through no fault of their own, are continuing to suffer, and the economy and the virus are spiraling downwards. So now's the time to act. We know that this is going to take a lot of work, but we're ready to do it. And as you saw, the president-elect's making the case that now is the time to move forward.
Let's drill down on specific parts of the package. You are calling for another $1,400 direct payment to the vast majority of Americans. There's criticism. Why not target it just to those people who've actually lost a job? There are a lot of people who will get the $1,400 on top of the $600 who've been doing just fine and haven't been hit by COVID. And then there is criticism from conservatives that you have snuck in a liberal wish list into this package. Let me put some items on the screen. $20 billion for public transit, $9 billion for cybersecurity, raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Whether those last items, Brian, are a good policy idea or not, can you really say that they are part of emergency COVID relief?
Well, if you look at the core of this package, what it's doing is it's going at those core challenges. So about $400 billion in this package is going at the vaccination effort and getting schools reopened. Another portion, as you said, is to provide direct relief.
Brian, you'll get used to me interrupting. That's what I do on this show. I'm asking, though, about these specific parts. Transit, $15 minimum wage. I understand some parts of it clearly are COVID relief, but why add this stuff to the bill?
Sure. Well, let's look at each of those. The cybersecurity resources there are in the wake of the SolarWinds hack. We have seen and now understand significant vulnerabilities that are exacerbated by COVID and the fact that so much federal operations are happening online. We need those resources to secure our systems now. Transit, look, our transit systems across the country are facing acute crisis. That's not happening in Democratic states or Republican states. That's happening around the country. And by providing relief now, we can help to avoid diminished service and diminished support when we come out of this crisis. And the $15 minimum wage is a concrete and direct way to help support those workers who are out there on the front lines right now, providing services to all of us, and give them direct support and a direct boost right now.
Then there's the timetable for passing this COVID relief package. Here is President-elect Biden this week. Take a look.
The crisis of deep human suffering is in plain sight, and there's no time to waste. We have to act, and we have to act now.
Plan A is to get this package through the Senate with 60 votes to beat a filibuster. But you had Republican senators under President Trump who were refusing to go over $1 trillion. They ended up passing $900 billion. Do you really expect 10 Republican senators to sign on to another $2 trillion?
Well, I do want to start with reinforcing the urgency point that you raised. You looked just over the weekend, an independent firm, Moody's, showed that if we act immediately, this plan and put it in place, the economy could create 7.5 million jobs this year. That's the kind of robust recovery that we need. And if you look at the components of the plan, you mentioned the $1,400 checks. We've seen broad bipartisan support from that, including Republican senators. You look at other elements of the plan, like an expanded child tax credit, something that Republican senators have supported in the past. And if you look at the vaccination efforts and the school efforts here, we've been talking to governors and mayors across the country, including Governor Hutchinson, who was just on, Republicans and Democrats who say we absolutely need to try to surge support in this critical period of the next couple months to get the virus under control, to get those schools open, help parents get back to work, particularly women who are facing a disproportionate hit here. I think there's a lot of support for taking these actions. So we see every reason why Congress should move out and should move out in a bipartisan way.
Yeah, of course, as you know as well as I do, should doesn't always mean it happens. President-elect Biden has kept open the possibility of ending the filibuster if Republicans were to block you. You have 50 votes, but you need 60 to break a filibuster. If they block you, would ending the filibuster, so you could pass it with 51 votes with Vice President Harris, would ending the filibuster be on the table?
Well, look, we think we need to move quickly here. But I would also say, there's a lot of skepticism that the president-elect's call for unity and working together was going to resonate, and he won the election resoundingly. There was a lot of skepticism that Congress would come together in December in a bipartisan way and deliver a down payment on this relief, and that happened. So let's see where we can get here. There is a lot of, again, a lot of elements of this plan that have support across the board, both in Washington and in state capitals and around the country. But we need to act. We need to act quickly. And that's what the economy is telling us. That's what the experts are telling us. And so that's our priority.
Then, speaking of acting quickly, there's the Senate trial of Donald Trump. I know the hope is to work out a deal where Congress, the Senate, can work on a dual track. Spend part of the day on business, like the COVID relief package, Senate confirmations, and then part of the day on the trial. If you can't get that kind of a deal, if the decision is you're going to go ahead and do nothing but the trial until you finish it, would there be some interest on the part of President-elect Biden to delay the trial, get some of the work done before Nancy Pelosi sends over the articles of impeachment?
Well, look, we think there's every reason that we can move forward and address multiple issues. We do have multiple crises. We have a lot of pressing business facing the country. And so certainly we understand and expect that the Senate is going to act on its constitutional duty. But as you mentioned, there is precedent for the Senate moving forward in impeachment hearings while at the same time holding hearings, operating other business. There's precedent historically and even recently in the first impeachment trial. So that's going to be our focus, is trying to get an agreement and a structure that will allow that to happen. And we're able to move out on these multiple fronts and make progress on these multiple priorities.
Brian, I got 2 minutes left. I would like to squeeze 2 questions in. During the campaign, President Trump said the Biden plan for the economy was exactly the wrong answer. Take a look.
The Biden agenda, with big tax increases and big regulation increases, would immediately kill everything.
Unemployment was 3.5% before COVID hit back in February. Is raising taxes and increasing regulations, both of which President-elect Biden has talked about, is that really the answer to get back to what was a pretty strong economy before the pandemic?
Look, I think if you ask most American people, was that an economy that was working for them, the answer would be no. And that's a big part of the reason why the Biden agenda and the Biden economic approach was the one that won out in this election. Right now, we find ourselves in an economic crisis. We have to focus on the immediate issues in front of us, and we need to act decisively. One of the things we've learned in crises is that acting decisively will put us on a path to have a stronger economic recovery coming out of this. So that's going to be our focus, our immediate focus. Let's get decisive action. Let's put the economy on a stronger trajectory. That'll be the best thing for American people, American workers.
And finally, I got less than a minute left. The irony in all this is that after you were appointed, there was a lot of pushback from the left wing of the Democratic Party that you, in your work for the Obama administration, were too conservative, that you actually called for deregulation, not more regulations, and also called for cutting back on spending. So is the left wrong, or have you had a change of mind from your previous service in the Democratic administration?
Well, look, the president-elect has a clear vision for making this economy work for working Americans again. That's a vision that I share and that we're going to wake up every day trying to move forward. It involves addressing some of the significant structural inequities in our economy that have left out too many Americans, including Black and brown Americans around this country who have not had a fair shot. And that's going to be our focus. It's going to be my focus. That's been my animating focus across the last decade or more in public life and private life. And I think that that's going to be what the president-elect expects of us, and certainly that's what I and the team will carry forward.
Brian, thank you. Thanks for your time this weekend, and please come back, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.